Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Hot Takes League of Legends edition. Davide's not with us today, unfortunately. He couldn't make it. So that's why we've had to get a newcomer. So we've got Ethan, and then we've got my dog as well, but I think he's not going to be particularly insightful. Yeah, obviously,
What's his name, by the way?
Ronnie, his name is.
Ronnie.
Yours in the back, what was yours called?
Kawa.
Kawa. What does that mean? Or is that just a French
It
name?
means coffee in Arab,
Oh, nice.
in Arabic.
Well, obviously the main thing going on at the moment then is Worlds. Just, I guess, first off, Ethan, you've been enjoying it?
Yeah, I've been enjoying it. I feel like we've got a few upsets. I mean, like obviously CFO is one. I think Anyone's Legend is another one.
Yeah.
Because of that, the fact that they were actually the third seed. Like they are the second seed because of the championship points in the LPL, but they should be the second seed given the third seed given the the results in summer. So having them beating on their home soil both Gen.G and HLE, which are the champion and the runner-up of LCK, is kind of an upset to me. And also it shows that they were already very close when it came to MSI, when it came to EWC. They took Gen.G to 5 games in BO5, so yeah, it's kind of entertaining so far. And also, as I said, CFO is clearly an upset to me too. They are looking very, very good. Like we knew they were good. We knew they were maybe the best team outside of the Chinese and Korean teams, but having them actually beat some and take Anyone's Legend, which is looking like the best team so far in three games, like it shows that like the stakes are, everything is kind of mixed up. Like we don't have Gen.G as a clear favorite or the Korea
Yeah.
as the clear favorite as we expected. So yeah, I'm kind of hyped so far.
It kind of makes me laugh how before Worlds there was the thing of like we knew there would be at most 7 LPL and LCK teams into the knockouts, and it was kind of like the hope for Europe, like we can get at least one in, and then CFO are like clearly looking better than everybody else. But there's still good
But
chances.
actually, we still have a shot. We still have a shot. Actually, there will be anyway a Western team in the quarterfinals
Yeah, true.
because of that
G2
G2
FlyQuest.
FlyQuest matchup. Yeah, but yeah. Actually, for Europe, it has not been that good. We're not gonna lie.
Let's
Obviously,
dive
like
into Fnatic a bit, I
outside,
think,
yeah.
because
But outside of the results, outside of the results part, honestly, the gameplay is not looking that great. I think even G2 against BLG, honestly, I think it was mostly a draft diff. And the thing is with BLG also, they are not looking that good. They just lost to 100 Chiefs, which is the second seed from NA, even the third seed from the Americas. So it's not that much of an upset to me.
yeah. Well, maybe first actually, because these runs like do they need to rethink how they seed this? Because like the parity in in the runs that different teams get is just ridiculous. I think. Like you look at BLG, they for a Chinese team that's come in and been playing shaky, they've been so jammy with the draws. 100 Thieves, Fnatic, G2, and then Evo Keyed Stars. Like
Yeah,
how you basically couldn't get a luckier run as an Eastern team, and for them to be on the
yeah, but
on
actually,
verge of elimination is like crazy as well.
yeah, but actually, like the draw from the first round is like they're different seeds. It's about the
Yeah,
seeds for the first round, and then it's just like random things.
but even then you have
Um,
like Vivo Keyed against Team Wales compared to I'm trying to think what were the other like some of the tougher ones. I feel like who did Hammer Life have first? Hammer Life, Anyone's Legend was the
Anyone's
first round.
Legend. Yeah, yeah,
Like those are not made equal, I don't think. Um,
yeah, sure.
I feel like they may as well just do it off of the power rankings, like their own power rankings, because they're not like there's always like a couple of teams in there that look a bit iffy, but if they just did like top to bottom on that, so it would have been like Vivo Keen against Gen.G, for example, on the first one. But like, at least to start with,
Yeah,
that
but
wouldn't be like out of order. Like that's as fair as it can get, really. And then after that, you can
yeah, but
obviously get
then
funny
there's
ones.
an issue of bias. There's an issue of bias, like then what is the reason you're putting Gen.G on top of BLG, for example. Like of course, they are maybe because they won MSI, you can have an argument, right? But I'm not sure, because then T1 is the 4th seed while they were the runner-up at MSI. So it's kind of hard, to me, to kind of balance things given expectations while you don't know what will happen. Actually, NUA's Legends looking like the best team while they were the 2nd seed. BLG is looking like the worst team while they was while they were the 1st seed from China. So yeah, to me it's kind of, I'm fine with the fact the draw can be also, it's giving some kind of randomness that can give some hope to some regions, that can
Yeah.
give some matchups that are rivalries, why it's not like just a stomp from the get-go with Gen.G against Vivo K-Star.
Yeah. True.
I'm kind of fine with it, to be honest.
And I mean, it's meant that we kind of got lucky with G2 having a chance to get through still against FlyQuest.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously it also meant, well, we've had a few EU versus EU already, which meant that Fnatic were knocked out by Movistar KOI, which was like, yeah, at least we get one of them not being knocked out yet. But Fnatic, like straight away, as soon as they're out, it's been like the whole breakdown of everything. The inquest started immediately. Whose fault is it? Like interview quotes. I can't remember what the quote was from Oscar. I think it was like with Sheep Sports, his interview with them. Something along the lines of like it needs a rebuild kind of thing. Like there's got to be big changes and all this. It's interesting
Grab
because
said the same, I think, in another interview.
yeah, because I was looking as well, because I remember a couple of days ago, Grabs tweeted like the contract signing GIF, kind of hinting that, I mean, the presumption is that he's re-signed, because I checked the database this morning, like the contract database, and of the whole roster, including the coaching staff, like him and Gax their contracts were going to expire. So okay, fair enough, maybe they've re-signed. Apart from that, the only person that the only other person that would have been expiring now is Upset. The rest of the roster is all contracted to next year, so it makes it a bit it makes their decisions more awkward, really. Like there's kind of less, you've got a bit less freedom as Fnatic, because if you want to bench players and replace them, you've got to try and find a buyout or decide what to do. Hope that the player's happy to rip up the contract. Otherwise, you'd end up with players under contract for next year, but them not playing.
But wasn't Humanoid still contracted until 2026 too?
No, I think his
think
was
he was.
expiring this year.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So that one's like fair enough, but then yeah, you like even Poby's under contract now until 2026. So
Well, honestly, the thing is with Fnatic, like we know they need a rebuild, but from the start of the year, right? Like it's not anything new. The thing is that is like kind of sad to me is that they look like genuinely the worst team in the world at Worlds. So yeah, it's kind of sad to me that I'm not gonna say that I would have preferred KC to be there at the place, because obviously they won against KC, right? But I think that they might have had a better showing, even though I think KC kind of had the same struggles as Fnatic, which were like team issue. I think Fnatic, it's no secret that it's not going well within the team, within the players, with the coaching staff and everything. I think there's a big issue in there, and that's not something new again. Like I think every year at Worlds we have Fnatic crumbling, we have problems within the staff, within the team. So maybe they just need a rebuild, but in even their approach of how to build a roster, maybe they need to change something. I think like they are doing a bit of the same as Heretics did at some point, as Vitality did at some point, which were obviously big. Like it was not good, right? It didn't go well for them, which is like starting with players that don't like that already hit their ceiling at some point. Players that are to me, I'm not gonna say washed up, but kinda. So I think like maybe they need to just change their approach of how to build the roster. Maybe bring on new players that are hungry, that want to win, that want to give it their all. And maybe could change things. I don't know, but I feel like this roster was not. I'm not sure they had a big desire to go far at Worlds.
yeah,
Maybe like qualifying for Worlds was already a big step for them,
That was,
and I'm
yeah.
not sure they had any more ambitions,
I think at that point, like where the season had been dodgy, like once they got to Worlds, that was kind of the point where it's like, okay, it's not a total disaster. We've kind of done the minimum that we need to do, but it's all kind of fell apart. But then what do you change? Like, I feel like bot lane. Surely you keep bot lane, but then like I'm seeing things saying about like Mickey. Maybe G2 kicked him because they weren't sure about his work ethic, and maybe that's like where people are starting to point fingers in Fnatic at certain individuals not putting in the effort. Maybe that could be Mickey they're talking about. But then like their bot lane has looked good a lot of the year. Like I mean, Upset was in spring was MVP.
Have you seen the tweet that Mikix liked on Twitter?
No, I saw something about him liking tweets, but I didn't know what it was.
Well, there was someone that tweeted that answered the tweet from Mikix after a loss at Worlds, and that said, um, it must be crazy for you to go from a serious org like G2 to this shit show that is Fnatic, basically. And he liked the tweet, so it's like, okay, it's saying a lot about like maybe he's part of the problem, but then I think Fnatic is the biggest part of the problem, to be honest. Fnatic as an org. Um, so yeah, I'm not sure. I think yeah, for sure you keep the bot lane, but the thing is, to me, Upset underperformed a lot at Worlds too. To be honest, like I think he didn't play the game, obviously. Maybe his team was not doing great, but I feel like he didn't even give it a try, And I think it was kind of the problem he had also with KC when things didn't go well. I feel like Upset is a very good player when you have a strong structure and strong players around him that won't crumble, won't won't do mistake, won't go in a bad momentum. But whenever he's on a team that is not working, he will never be the X factor. And I feel like it's kind of a problem that you need to overcome to get to the next step, to take it to the next step. Um, but yeah, outside of that, I think Mikix looked great this year. I just think like obviously the support pool in Europe is not that good. Like we don't have many great supports. I think even Alvaro looked good during the year, but that this summer it didn't look that as good as he did in spring, for example. I think he's kind of finding his rhythm back again at Worlds with this win against Fnatic. I saw him and Elioya connect a lot more than they did during summer overall. So maybe they can keep up with that, but I'm not sure. And yeah, I think you obviously have to change the top laner. Like credit to Oscar, but for this win against Casey, but like outside of that, there's nothing much to keep from him during this year. I think he was kind of a big part of the problem. I think I was even talking about it with Targamas during the I think it was during spring, where I asked him, yeah, do you think MKOI is a much better team than Fnatic, And it was before MKOI, great run in playoff and everything. And Targamas told me like. I just think their solo laners in MKOI, they have much more to bring to the table than Fnatic solo laners. And I think I can only agree.
Yeah.
Manoid was part of the problem because of his very poor side lane plays. I think Oscar is part of the problem because of his poor gameplay in general, to be honest. I think outside of a few meta champions, he's kind of running out of options. Maybe on Besa, Gwen, then he doesn't have much, I think. And outside of that, I think yeah, he didn't look that good at all. Like whether it was in laning phase, whether it was in side lane, whether it was in his decision making in team fights. I have not seen a top laner that can actually be an X factor in any kind of situation. And actually, that's why when he gapped Kana during summer playoff, it was even more surprising to everyone because if Mirwin did the same, it would have been surprising. But the fact that Oscar did that is like
Yeah.
crazy
And I
surprising
mean, it was
because
like
of the fact that
the game of his life, and it like at this point it
yeah,
does look like a one-off.
series
To
of
be
his life
fair,
even.
yeah, it's a
Yeah,
shame.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
I feel like they've got to go
And
for
then maybe
Vladdy, right?
Erasmus too. Oh, I think so, but I think Vlad is kind of contested, to be
I mean,
honest.
oh
I
yeah, no,
think,
I imagine he would be. But where, I mean, if you're Vladdy, where would you prefer? Like, obviously, Fnatic's not won a title in a million years now, but they're always like right on the edge, and you feel like Like they always kind of seem like they're one piece away from it. Maybe he could be the piece. Like where else?
It,
Like
it,
what? Where else could he go? Do you reckon?
like, it could be, but I do also think that, and actually, like Vladi and Upset had had a very good synergy in summer with KC. I think they also played some games during off season the year before together, like with a mixed up team where they just like found free agent players to play the game during off season.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think they are looking very good. They were looking very good with KC in summer, but I also do think that Vladi in a bad environment after this year could not look like it could destroy his career, to be honest. So I think he need to find a place where he will be cherished. He will be cherished. He will be um, well well supported during the year, because I think that maybe he wasn't that well supported during the year with KC, which is why he kind of fell under pressure and just crumbled.
Yeah.
So I do think that he needs to find a place where, yeah, he will be cherished. And I'm not sure if Fnatic right now is the place to be if you're a young player that is having a huge talent. I'm not sure, to be honest. But I don't see any other team that can be that place.
Yeah.
So maybe G2 is the only place in Europe where you can feel very safe as a young talent. But the problem is G2 have renewed caps for another 5 years. So
Yeah.
good luck
The what?
to them.
The one that I feel like he would be fine in, but it's just I doubt that they'd be looking to make a change. Would be like maybe if KOI wanted to swap out mid lane. Like you feel like the way they supported JoJo as like the one non-Spanish guy coming from a new region, like it looked like he was like genuinely really well supported, like even outside the game. But obviously that would depend
But I
on
think
them wanting to change, which I don't know.
and I think if you're MKOI, you want to keep Jojo right now, right?
Yeah,
Like
I mean,
he
there's no
did
reason
a
for them
crazy
to
year.
change. Yeah,
Yeah. So I think they will try to keep him, but I think it's also up to Jojo. Does he want to stay, or does he want to come back in NA, or does he want to try in LCK, because we knew he already had. He already was rumored to maybe go to Phoenix or something at some point last year. So yeah, I think it's up to Jojo. What does he want to do? Um, but yeah, I think honestly, there's not many teams that can handle such a profile as Vladi in a very good way. To me, like I'm kind of worried about the future for him, because maybe there's heretics. If they want to build a strong project, maybe they could do something with Vladi. I don't think Vitality is the best environment to be to be honest. But maybe things will change next year, because I think they are kind of working like to find a new staff and everything. I think there's all that stuff about Mac and Pad actually that is going on. We don't know who will stay, who will go
yeah. I
out. We
thought I
don't know if
saw
they will
something about them
separate.
staying, but I don't remember. I don't remember where I saw it. I think it was just like a rumor. Well, some random on Twitter or something said it. But
From the from the rumors that I heard, they want to, like, it will be either Mac or Pad, but I think it's mostly going towards Pad staying.
oh, only one of them.
But I
Oh
like
right.
Yeah. But even Pad, I don't know if you saw it, but we did an interview with him where Pad was saying that he wants to fly on his own.
Yeah.
That he want to have his own thing and not be always associated with Mac, and
Yeah.
try
Yeah.
something new on his own. So yeah, I'm not sure, but I do think that it will depend on that. And maybe we heard also that the Vitality was exploring options in mid lane. Like Shippy Sports recently said that, so I feel like they for sure are on the Vladi file. That's for sure. I think any team that wants an upgrade in mid lane, and I think that's basically every team outside of MKOI and G2, would want Vladi right now, because he's obviously a huge talent. He already showed it. The only issue is how well can you support him, and how well can you take him to the next level and to the consistency that he needs to be like the next caps or something.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of one of those ones like. It's sort of for me. It's like with G2 last year when they had that like crazy offer for Kalist. Like even though they already had Han Solo, and it's one of those things. It's like maybe you just tried to take the opportunity to get like a generational player in your region. Like even if you're another team that
Exactly. Yeah.
isn't desperate for a new mid laner, the fact that Vladdy's on the market, you just try and see if you can. And for all we know, just maybe not having apples with him is what will help things as well. It's funny you say about if KC had gone to Worlds. I did just check. Discord is banned in China, so it would have Apples would have had to go out of his way to leak scrims if they were in China. He would have had to like get a VPN at minimum to do it. So
He would have leaked on Weibo or something.
yeah, to
He would have
the
found another way.
Chinese e-girls. But yeah, it would have been slightly more difficult. So maybe their problems would have not been quite so pronounced. Anyway, let's have a look at some of the other teams. And what else is going on? Was there any
KT
other
is a
ones?
huge upset too, right?
Huh?
KT is a huge upset too, actually.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they've had like kind
But
of a nice
like
run, but like against top, yeah.
they had an easy way. Yeah, they had an easy path to the 2-1 bracket, to the 2-0 bracket. But yeah, I think the fact they won against Top Esports in such a fashion because they completely stormed them, right? In BO3, which is to me this is the favorite place for Top Esports. You know, BO3 that's where they strive the most this year. Like even in summer, like Jackie Love was the MVP because of the BO3 phase where they just stomped everyone, you know. And that's not surprising because they are a team that rely on a very tight champion pool and very, you know, a few composition to completely storm the early and just, you know, snowball out of that, you know. But so that was not surprising to me that they were 2-0 on the BO1s, but that was surprising to me that KC roster just completely stormed them in BO3, you know. And then yeah, I think I'm not sure. I think Peter is looking very good. Actually, I was not expecting him to look that good. The support of KT. Um, I think BGG obviously is BGG. He just find clutches out of nothing. You know, it's crazy what he did to MKOI. Actually, like they should have lost that game against MKOI, and then he found that big shockwave on 4 people that completely returned the game on in their favor. And then yeah, I think he did kind of clutch play again against Top Esports, but it was not about a clutch play against Top Esports. It was just a storm from the start. You know, like they were just outplaying them everywhere on the map. Cuz was on every good play while Kanavi was kind of lost, which was kind of surprising to me because even though we know Cuz can beat the best junglers in the world, he's not that consistent. So I was not sure if you know I would have said that Kanavi would have had the upper end against him. So yeah, I think the only issue is, as I said, KT is a very inconsistent team, and I'm not sure that in a week, uh, after a week of preparation, after a week without playing an official match, they will look the same as they did in Swiss stage. You know,
Yeah.
especially in BO5, I'm not sure about it. So yeah, we will see. I just hope Top Esports is not on their choke, you know, choke run again. They are 2-0, which is kind of rare for them. Actually, they usually start very poorly, even though they face only G2 and 100 Chiefs, which you would say is kind of easy again.
Yeah.
But yeah, now they will face Gen.G. So you know, it could be the beginning of something
It could
very
be
bad for
Gen.G,
them. You
and
know.
then it could be like a 2-2 against T1 or BLG.
Yeah,
So it might look a
kind of
bit rough.
scary.
Yeah, for sure.
Kind of scary. Yeah, yeah. And I think BLG, as always, we were talking about BLG, as always, like they always start very bad. They always have a hard time finding their rhythm, you know, finding how they want to play the game, finding how to approach the new meta, finding which jungler to start with, actually. Um, so yeah, I'm not that worried about them, especially because now they will play against VKS, which should be a free match for them,
No.
and
Listen,
especially because
no, so I'm in a group that did a sweepstake for Worlds. You know, we put in £2 each and you get a random team. I got VKS,
okay.
so I have to hold out hope that they could get they could get somewhere. And they already surprised
I
me
have a bad news for you.
by beating PSG. I did, as soon as I got it, I
Yeah,
did
yeah.
ask if I could get my money back, but you know they got one win. And I think the way that my group is doing it, you don't have to get the winning team. If your team gets to like the last 8, you maybe get some money back as well, which I'm not expecting is
Yeah,
going to happen. But
you won't be. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Good luck, man. Good luck. Stay
cheers.
hopeful. It's very good, but no, but to be honest, and VKS, like they looked kind of good against PSG, but I do think PSG is the worst team outside of Fnatic at Worlds this year. So even though like yeah, I do think Fnatic is worse than PSG, but I do think that PSG is the second worst team, you know. Um, so yeah, maybe VKS could have a shot against maybe Team Secret Wales. Even I'm not sure, to be honest. I don't think they actually, yeah, Team Secret Wales won against them. Yeah, I just saw it in the first round. So
Yeah,
yeah,
They'll be alright in the rematch.
I'm not sure about VKS to be honest, but if I have to go through BLG, the thing is also in BO3, they will have time to adapt and to change their jungler mid-series,
Yeah.
which they
Get the
couldn't
new
do in
jungle
BO1.
bounce.
So maybe, yeah, so maybe it will change the dynamic for them, as it did actually in LPL playoff. That's what they did, Every time it was looking rough with one jungler, they were just swapping jungler, and it completely changed the dynamic of the series.
So they just need to get enough subs that they've literally got 5 different junglers. And okay, first match is going to be
Exactly.
bad. Every other one, you change the jungler and then you 3-0 or 3-1. Sorry.
And actually, T1 is also in the 1-2 bracket,
Yeah.
on the 1-2 draw. So, and it's kind of surprising. Like their loss against CFO was kind of surprising. They got absolutely stomped. And I'm not gonna lie, I was in shock with Dogo's Draven. Like Dogo's Draven completely shocked me. I also think Doran completely griefed the game, but that's Doran, it happens. um, and then yeah, against Gen.G, it was again kind of a stomp. So yeah, I'm kind of worried about T1 right now. I'm not sure. They found their way in the meta so far. And I thought they had, because of that dominant series against IG, while IG was not looking bad at all. Like obviously, again, Zoshai was completely hinting this whole series, but like IG was not looking that bad. I think Rookie and Wei had their best series maybe of the whole like split of the whole summer. Um, and yeah, after they won FlyQuest in dominant fashion, so I was kind of expecting them to have a an easy road to the playoff as always, and yeah, they didn't.
Yeah.
So yeah, now they face 100 Chiefs. They should win. Obviously, they are obviously favored, but now they have no safety net anymore, and it's obviously kind of scary both for them, but for Riot Games too, that want to keep their viewership going.
Yeah. Sure. Well, yeah. Even like that first game, T1 against IG, I think they like smashed the Valorant Champions final viewership by like hundreds of
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
thousands for the first match. It's crazy.
Which is not surprising. It might be the most watched series of the world tournament actually,
Yeah.
even maybe more than like after finals. I think it will be, and especially if you take in consideration the Chinese numbers, I think it
Yeah.
for sure is.
Definitely. Um. Yeah. What's this thing about Jarvan? I keep hearing about Jarvan being picked and being shit. Let me check the win
So
rates. I
yeah,
don't know if it
Jarvan.
changed.
So Jarvan before Sunday, Jarvan was 0-9. So everyone was saying it is the new Kalista, because Kalista was 0-10 at MSI, I think,
Yeah.
and everyone kept picking it even though it was very bad. And Jarvan was kind of the same. Like I think all the teams were finding solutions to Jarvan, and they knew how to counter it. I think Jarvan is more of a champion that you pick in a BO3 or BO5 when you don't have a lot of options for the mid laners carries or the AD carries to have a lot of mobility. You just pick Jarvan against champions that lack on that. Maybe like Sivir for example. Then you pick a Jarvan and it can be good. And that's actually what Fnatic did. But when you pick a Jarvan into a Caitlyn, into an Ezreal, into a Lucian, into a Yunara, Kaisa, they just have options to just outplay you and just get out of your ultimate, and it's just not as good as it should be. The champion has not as much value. So yeah, I just think people had a bad read on the jungle meta from the start, and I think they just thought that because Jarvan was the only jungler basically that was not nerfed. Even Pantheon was nerfed in this patch. Wukong was nerfed. Um, I think Poppy was nerfed a bit. So there was a lot of jungle champions that were very prioritized by team in summer that were actually nerfed. And I do think that teams thought, okay, well then, if every of these champions are nerfed, but Jarvan is not, it must be the the, the the best pick in the jungle right now, which is not. To me, it's a very situational pick, and it just showed in the record. And actually, in Sunday, Jarvan had 2 wins, but it was with the worst team in the tournament.
Yeah.
With
The only teams that
Fnatic,
can win are
MKOI,
out.
and
And,
yeah,
and notice who
exactly.
hasn't played it
So
yet. KT Rolster, anyone's legend, not a single game either.
yeah. But
Um,
yeah, actually, Wukong I think is looking very, very good dispatch, and also Xin because Xin is the other champion that wasn't nerfed outside of Jarvan for this patch. So it's kind of not surprising to me that he's one of the best pick. I think he sits on 83% win rate right now with like 6 or 8 picks. So yeah.
kind of interesting with this Worlds where it's a bit of a quicker format as well. Like, going to be more onus on the teams that can adapt quickly, especially up between playoffs and between like Swiss and playoffs, where usually you'd have like a week break between like every stage, the quarterfinals, semi-finals, and all that. But it's like obviously way quicker. So I guess the teams that have hit the ground running, it's like way more important as well. What else have we got on Worlds before we move on? Maybe that's who's going through. We can at least do the top,
Well, I
the
think we have
2-1
to make a
teams.
prediction.
Yeah.
I think we have to make a prediction about that G2 FlyQuest too. What do you think?
I feel like G2. I feel like G2 will win, but I've just been we've been stung by these G2 versus NA teams in Swiss. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be a stomp exactly. Maybe 3-2 G2.
No, it's a BO3.
Oh, it's it. Obviously, yeah. 2-1 G2. I mean.
2-1 G2. Okay. Actually, I would like to be as optimist as you, but the only issue I see is that again, I think G2 won against BLG out of like draft diff. I think it was the only reason they won because like their comp was just too good into the BLG comp. So props to the G2 staff, but I'm not sure they will put it through again in a BO3. You know, like I'm not sure the draft will do the difference, and I do think that maybe Skumond as PTSDs of that MSI were inspired completely, like stomped him. Um, and yeah, I'm not sure to be honest. I think if you take like the summer as a whole, I'm kind of sad about G2's performance so far in at this Worlds because even though they're 2-1, like their series against MKOI was not that convincing at all. I think in early game they are not proactive at all. Like they mostly outplay in team fights, and I do think like credits to BB also because I think he's doing a lot of work in early game to actually have a lead and snowball it on the game. But outside of BB, I'm not sure. Like I do feel like Skumond is kind of back to his AFK days in early game, and that's kind of scary to me, especially when you go against someone like Inspired, who has been looking like not the best, I would say, so far this at this tournament, but kind of okay. I think against Team Secret Ways, we could see already that he was kind of finding his pace again. But yeah, I'm kind of scared to be honest. I do think it will be a very tight series, but I'm not sure which one to.
Well, come on.
I
You said
mean,
about
and
making
also there's
predictions. You
that
got to give
thing.
one now.
Yeah, but I think there's that thing also that G2 is just like it's been years that we are saying that the EU is better than NA, haha, and everything, but it's been years that NA is just looking better than us at every tournament and they're just beating us, you know. So
So you think
I will
FlyQuest then?
say G2 just I will say G2 just for the copium, but to be honest, I think FlyQuest is looking on a better form than G2 so far.
So what's the score then?
Well, 2-1 obviously because I think it will be very tight anyways.
Who else going through then?
But yeah,
CFO to beat
we're just
Herbalife?
lucky with the draw. Actually, we should be happy with that draw. That you know is just
Yeah,
lucky
for
for
sure.
us, right? Like we will have a Western team anyway. While I don't think we were looking like the best.
Yeah. And then Koi, I mean, Koi should move to 2-2 after as well, or like they've got a decent chance of doing that.
Yeah, just I think Team Secret Wales is not to be underestimated. You know, I think they are looking pretty good. Like I think it was their first series against no, yeah, their
Yes.
first series against VKS was very convincing. And I think even against KT, they had some very convincing moments. It's more against FlyQuest that it was a rough series for them. But yeah, I'm not sure. I think MKOI looked good overall at this Worlds, to be honest. Like against their series against KT, they should have won it. Like they were completely stomping the early game. And I think right now the meta is all about early game. So, and I do think that Alvaro and Elioya are like finding their synergy again, which is very important for them to grab some wins in BO3, BO1. So yeah, I do think that against Team Secret Wales, actually MKOI should take it, but it's not free at all. It's not as free as if it was PSG Talon, Fnatic, or VKS to me.
Yeah. Well, we'll have G2 beat FlyQuest, and then FlyQuest drop to 2-2. MKOI win and go to 2-2, and then MKOI knock out FlyQuest. We finally EU will get the revenge. after these last few years.
Mm.
That's the real copium.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
what do you have you seen the debates of Jankos versus Inspired as the GOAT Western jungler?
I think Jankos is way above him,
That's what I
to
was
be
thinking.
honest.
Like I get maybe you could say Inspired even for a second place, maybe. I don't know, but then when you talk about like greatest of all time, like it has that that's a conversation where like trophies has to come into it, and the fact that Jankos has an MSI, like I feel
Yeah,
like just blatantly shuts down the argument before it really begins.
yeah, and also like Inspired did only one Worlds playoff, and it's not enough to me. Like even at MSI, I'm not sure he did any great run. Or maybe with EG but it was a very weird format where if you were like out, there were only two Asian teams, like one from GLPL and one from GLCK,
Yeah,
and then it was only wildcard regions with EU and NA, and then I think he was like third place or fourth place with EG at MSI 2022, I think it was. But outside of that, yeah, to be honest, I'm not sure Inspired had a very great achievement in an international event, which Yonkos had, right? So yeah, I think Yonkos is ahead. And even maybe you can argue about Broxa too because he did the Worlds final. So yeah, I do think that you have to have a huge achievement in an international event to kind of pretend to be the best out of your region.
either
It's
that or
why
just like
people
many
like
more years. I feel like Jankos was still around way longer, or that just could
yeah,
be
of course,
like
of course. Inspired is kind of young actually, like not young, but he's kind of like Jankos played since 2015 or 16 maybe,
yeah.
while Inspired is came in LEC in what 2021 or
No,
2020?
2019 he was in.
Oh, okay.
2020
And I
summer,
think the
first in
moment where
regular
he blew
season.
up,
Yeah,
the moment where he blew up was in 2020 or 2021 with Rogue. That's the
yeah.
moment where he had all those crazy plays and that pentakill on Viego and everything. I remember. Um, but yeah, I think yeah, he just has to get a good run at Worlds, and maybe we could talk about it again. But yeah,
Yeah.
and actually, I'm very eager to see what will happen in the off season if he will try to come back in EU or something because I know his contract is running out this year. So yeah, can be fun.
Interesting. Okay, maybe let's move to some other stuff then. Let me remind myself what was next. Oh yeah, EMEA Masters. And I guess the big shocking news: Los Ratones have lost a game. They're out of EMEA Masters. But it's okay because they're already in the NEC for winter, so and they deserve it as the
Yeah,
best team
because they
year
are the
round.
best team yeah, actually they are the best team in the EMEA after all. Like how can you argue that they are not? They won
Um,
NLC 2 times. Wow.
who does the scouting on KC for like their academy? Because they just seem to like
It is
never miss, right?
I think it's their staff overall, and I think it's mostly Xenesis, which is doing like the
The data
data and
stuff. Yeah.
is data stuff, and so she's looking at profiles and stuff on in a like with a close look. But I think like the staff also has awards about it. Like obviously The Rock was the head coach this year. There was also Blitzy, which was the assistant coach already from last year, and that stayed this year again. And that I think was already announced as the head coach for next year in KCB. Because as everyone know, The Rock was also uh, leaked as the next head coach for Navy next year. So yeah, I think this summer KCB has just looked so good, and they've been ramping up so hard because in the start of the split they were not looking that great, to be honest. But then and they even lost again BK Rog in the LFL upper bracket, and then they just stomped them in the final. I think 3-0, if I'm not mistaken. So and yeah, after in the EMEA Masters they were looking like just so dominant.
Yeah.
I think they were just ramping up the whole split, and it just showed against Los Ratones that was not in their best momentum at all. I think it was not their best meta too. Um, so yeah, KCB kind of
I mean they battered them though.
uh,
Like every game looks like pretty much a stomp as well.
yeah, it was a stomp. Honestly, the series was probably the biggest stomp I saw at EMEA this year, or at least this summer. And yeah, I think it's also come down to a player which will make a lot of noise, I think, during this offseason, which is Yukino. There's actually a very fun trend in the French community where people are saying that Yukino is the worst player in the region, that he should go back to NACL and just, or maybe give up on his career and stuff, because people want to protect him and don't want people to scout him. They don't want the good teams to scout him to see that he has great games. So they're just saying that he's the worst player in the team every day, while he's in fact the best, obviously. Like this guy, I think he's looking like an insane talent. Like mechanically, he's maybe the best jungler in like he is for sure the best jungler in ERL. But even in his map read and map play, like he's everywhere. He's like at all time everywhere doing something, thinking on the next play. And his growth, also his growth, I think this summer was kind of insane because he was not looking like the best in the start of the year. I think he was not given the proper condition also to strive because he was mostly put on Maokai setup champions and stuff, which is not like his main his main like area. Is not how he looks like the best. So now they put him more on fighters, on bruisers, on actually assassins like Zed, and yeah, he looked just insane at this tournament. To me, he's the MVP of the tournament so far. He's just looking so good. He's having highlights after highlights every game. And yeah, I think also 3XA is the best for sure. Is the best AG in ERLs. He will for sure be in LC next year. Same for Mainter. He's looking like very very solid. He has a huge champion pool too, which is very good for for the new fearless draft stuff and stuff. So yeah, and I think like maybe that's where for example both lack a lot when it comes to champion pool, when it comes to adapting to new metas. It's not something that Boss has been very good at, and that's something he's known for this year. So obviously it didn't help. And yeah, I think there's also something about like the meta read of Los Ratones was not the best, I think. Like for example, I don't know about the pick they did all the series. To me, they were not right. They just didn't feel right against the KCB comps. Um, and yeah, I do think that they just didn't have the best read, or maybe they were just kind of um, restricted by the champion pool of the player and how they see the games. For example, I think also Reckless has not been looking like himself during this series, and yeah, she
Yeah.
just KCB was just honestly better. I do think that even if Los Ratones were on their best day, I'm not sure they will be able to beat them because KCB was just looking way better, and it's like a bubble of talent. They just have a lot of talent, and it's like they're all at their prime right now. I feel like so yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting with Yukino. I saw a tweet from Cubby, who I think he's like an analyst in NA. Pretty sure
Yeah,
he's worked for teams, but he's like been on
he's working
broadcast
on
stuff as well.
NHL too.
Yeah. I saw a tweet. He was replying to Marto Cannon saying like teams in NA had scouted him. They didn't want his little brother energy, which he said in quotes. So teams passed him up because that's the thing as well with some of these players like on KC. They're not even necessarily players that like no one had heard of. Like they just like they seem to have a good grasp on like even the players that have maybe been around tier 2 for a while. Because like Yukino had been in NA tier 2 for like a few years, I'm pretty sure. And just like on their roster as well, like I recognize Loku as someone who used to be involved in the NLC. He was playing in the NLC like
Yeah,
3-4 years ago. So they're not like
yeah.
unknown, like unheard of players, but they just
No,
seem to like have the
and
knack of
especially yeah, and especially 3XA, which was known under the name of Exakick,
yeah,
was also an LEC player before. Mainter, even though he's like kind of new on the tier 1, he's actually 24 years old and he's been playing in Div 2 for years before coming to LFL. Um, and yeah, I do think that the new faces, to me, Slowq is a new face because wasn't watching NLC before,
yeah,
obviously. And same for Piero, which is kind of a new face, but they are both, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Piero is for sure a Korean import, but I think Slow Q, I'm not sure because I know he's
He's
also
only he
Swiggy.
never played
But
in Korea, but like on Leaguepedia he shows as Korean. Oh yeah, it shows Korean and
yeah,
Swedish.
so he's an import too. So he's probably an import too. So yeah, you can see that like he's been like I think it was the right project for Yukino because he was well surrounded with players that have some experience, especially when I think about as I said of 3XA and Mainter, for example. They are players who have experience, who have played a lot in a team environment, you know. And yeah, I think it was a huge thing for him. I also do know that he was actually Yukino did tryouts with KCB last year in summer because he went for a bootcamp in EU and he completely stormed the ladder, the solo queue ladder actually. And then he did some tryouts with KCB and everyone was saying that he was looking insanely good. But I think he stayed. He didn't want to join. I don't know exactly what was the story, but in the end he came back to NACLs obviously. And then after all that mess with the Bukada Isma thing that went to LEC and everything, then Yukino arrived, and yeah, it was a huge pickup because to me is looking like the probably the best jungle prospect we had in like since Yike, you know. I think Yike was the no, actually that's Kumond.
I was
That's
thinking, yeah,
Kumond. Yeah, yeah, that's Kumond. So I can say that. But after
the best
Skumond is
the
the best
best jungle
jungle
prospect since
prospect.
the last one.
Yeah, exactly. But indeed, but like Skumond is maybe the best prospect we had before Yike, and Yike before Elioya, and now you have Yukino. You know, it's like you have these huge prospects that are looking very good in the higher level, and that G2 is always picking up also because they picked up both Yike and Skumond. So maybe if
Kumon's
Skumond is not
sweating.
performing that well at Worlds, he can sweat a bit, you know, he can sweat a bit.
I,
But I do think that KC, like the situation with KC actually is very interesting also, and I think it's something to discuss because they have Yike right now. And we know that they want to extend Kana. Kameto actually also said that it was like 95%
yeah, I think
that Kana
Sheep reported as well,
would
right?
sign
That
with KC.
they're like confident,
Yeah.
yeah, that it's gonna happen.
And so Kana might stay, but it's still an import, right? Even though I think there's that rule thing about like maybe it's been 2 years, that so maybe he can have the residency or something, but I don't think
Yeah,
it's legit. I don't think it's legit. So Kana is still an import. They are looking for for an import in mid lane too. So that situation with Yukino is kind of interesting because Yukino is an import as well. So you can't have 3 imports in an LEC team. So right now KC is looking for 2. And also you have Yike. So what do you do with Yike? You know, it's very interesting to yeah. I'm not sure what KC will do because it's either they give a huge talent to a rival of them, you know, in
yeah.
LEC. Maybe they give it back to LTA LCS because it will be called LCS
That's
now.
maybe the ideal because like either
Like
way
yeah,
there'll be like the benefit of still having him even if you want to stick with Yike is obviously getting some kind of buyout for him, but yeah, it's difficult in it when they're already going to be giving Vladdy to a rival presumably as well. They just everyone's just using Karmine Corp scouting department to find all their players in LEC.
yeah, and and especially in jungle. I think like 5 of the 10 junglers in LEC are right now are from KCB, so it's kind of funny. Um, but yeah, it's yeah. I don't know where the situation will go, but it will be for sure interesting to see. And also, Yukino is under contract until 2026, so it's interesting also to they can jail him if they want. They can do it. It's up to them, you know. And maybe to me, I think the best thing to do would be to build a project for 2026 around Yukino in KCB, and if things don't go well in KC in the LEC team, maybe then you make changes and you see maybe if Yike is underperforming or something, maybe it can also push Yike to
Yeah,
perform at his best. So yeah, it can be. I think it's a win-win situation for them if they do that. But in the end, yeah, maybe it can get picked up by another team. Maybe someone will come with a huge buyout for him. You never know.
Fnatic. But yeah, I think if you're Yukino as well, I don't think it's even a bad move to stay with KCB for another year. Like you're in a team that has this good infrastructure to get players ready for the LEC. You're already doing well with them. unless he gets like maybe like money wise, he could get a much better offer in the LEC or in the LCS.
That's the thing.
But we'll see. I think for him, it's kind of fine either way. I think for KCB, it's good either way if they can get a decent buyout or not. So yeah, good on them, I suppose, for their.
But in the end, there's also the human thing that is coming in consideration, and it's a young player, and maybe it's been a few months that he's been far from his family. I think he said on Kameto stream that he's coming back to see them after the EMEA Masters, but and I think there was that fun segment where he said to Kameto, "Yeah, after the EMEA Masters, I'm coming back to NA to see my family and everything." And Kameto is saying, "Yeah, but you stay. You know, you're not leaving. You're just coming in vacation, right? It's not like you're leaving us, right?" It was kind of funny, but yeah, it's the thing that does he want to stay another year in EU while maybe he could have offers in LCS
Yeah.
close to his his belongings. So yeah, I'm not sure.
Plus, like, because I'm sure there would be LEC teams sniffing around for him as well. And if you're KCB, or if you're KC, you're not going to be like, I'm sure you're going to have different offers, a number of offers, and there's nothing forcing them to take like a lower offer from the LCS. Because I don't know, would the LCS teams pay the same kind of buyouts these days that LEC teams maybe could? I don't know. Like,
I think Cloud9 could, C9
yeah,
could probably. Maybe Sentinels also. There's that
true,
rumor that
yeah.
they will be in LCS
Because
next
they'll
year.
probably, I feel like they're
So
the
maybe.
kind of org that would want to like make a splash and come in swinging straight away as well.
Yeah.
That'd be a decent option for them to go for him if the money's not like super
Yeah, and
crazy.
actually, there's rumors about KC being interested in Quid, in Quid. So what Sentinels could do is they take Yukino and Quid, and then KC is completely mad at them, because they just took both two of their biggest prospects.
Yep. And then they'll have a good rivalry coming in straight away as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so talking of ERLs then, and maybe going back to Los Ratones with this one slightly. And I realise I've not got my topic ready to switch over to, which I have now. Is that there's this rumor coming out from Sheep Esports that from next year Riot isn't going to require the ERLs to have residency rules. So like currently, every ERL the teams require like it's 3 of the players, right? Two or 3 of the players. I can't remember how many. But like you can only have a max.
3. Yeah, I'm not sure, but I think it's either 3 or 2 players that are coming from your country,
Yeah.
the country where the league is played.
There you go. So it's basically what they're going to say is from next year they have to have 3 players from EMEA, and then you could have 2 from anywhere else.
Yeah.
But then those EMEA players can be from any country. So like currently, if you're a team in the LFL, you have to have like 2 or 3 players from France. Oh, there you go. We should have just checked the article here where Davide has nicely explained what the rule was before. So most of the ERL tournaments required at least 2 resident players on the roster. But I think even that, like, yeah, it says the player would gain status if they've legally resided or been primarily present in that area for no less than 36 out of the last 60 months. So it wasn't even necessarily like in France it had to be a French player. It could just be a player that's been playing in France for like
And that's
3
what
of the
happened
last
with
5
KCB.
years.
That's what happened with KCB with Mainter. Mainter, for example, is Ukrainian, but he had the residency because he played in GIF2 for years.
Yeah. So it wasn't like
that's what happened with a lot of teams.
Yeah, so basically like you could it wasn't like that unheard of to see teams with not really many players from like the current from that country. But either way, it's freed it up completely for next year. And my kind of first thought, which I think is just like what you jump to now whenever there's any rule changes in ERLs, is how does this affect Los Ratones, and maybe were they the reason Riot made these changes? Because one thing, the whole thing with them has been like, what's going to happen next year? Are they going to go to NA? We kind of felt like maybe the thing of adding them into the LEC was a way of the LEC keeping them in Europe. And now Los Ratones, if they was to stick together, they could go to the LFL now or go to Superliga, like basically go to whichever league they think they can qualify to or get in. That isn't the NLC.
So the thing is, it's like things are not quite settled right now because what we know is that the LTR rule is like every league, every national league can do whatever they want with the LTR rule. But the LTR rule, if for example the LFL, the French league, wants to implement an LTR rule that is even more strict that the previous one was, they can, you know. So it's not sure yet what they will do. But yeah, indeed, maybe if Los Ratones wants to play in LFL next year, they can. Like, and I think actually obviously Webedia, which is the organizer, the tournament organizer of the French league, they will accept, you know. Of course they will accept. Why wouldn't they? So of course they will change the rule in order to make Los Ratones come to their league, you know. It's kind of obvious. And yeah, I think it could be great also for even like for Los Ratones. I'm not sure because they will kind of lose their identity of being a UK team if they do that to me. But in the
To me, they
end,
don't
the
feel like a
competition
UK
will
thing
be
anyway. But I don't know. I don't know what the general feeling is.
really.
I don't get that feeling.
Yeah, because Cadrell
Yeah, but even
is
then
a
he was.
UK. He's coming from UK.
I don't know. It just doesn't. It just doesn't have that connection for me. Like, because even Cagel, I know it's gonna sound weird. Like, he doesn't even have much of like a UK accent as well. Not to be like Cagel's not British. Like, I know he is, but like he doesn't. He wasn't for me like synonymous with like UK league because he'd just been in like LEC for like so many years anyway. So I don't know. Like, it doesn't feel like
Yeah,
a UK team specifically for me.
yeah. It's and actually you're right. It's mostly international. Like it's just European, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the end, if they come to LFL, you know, LFL has that French flag in it, that French symbol in it. So yeah, I'm not sure how it will be kind of perceived by the fans. But the thing is, the competition will be much better, right? So for them, I think it's a good thing. But then again, there is also that rule about the stream thing that you can stream screams, that you can stream stuff. And I'm not sure, like in LFL, it wasn't allowed this year, right? So I'm not sure how it will go. I'm not sure how it will go. And the thing is, again, I think Webedia has every reason to
Change
like
the
give it a
rules.
go. You know, to give yeah, to just change the rules about that too. If those Ratones could join, you know. So yeah, can be interesting, but I'm not sure if this is the best move for Los Ratones. It might be, but I'm just not sure about that whole identity thing. How does Cadrell fanbase will relate to Los Ratones going to LFL actually? But the thing is, if they have to tank one more year before going to LEC, maybe it's the best way to do it, right?
And you know what? If they did actually, for all I know, that maybe they do have like a lot of UK fans. I mean, I'm sure Cagel does have loads of fans from everywhere. Anyway,
Mm.
but if they had like the UK identity going into the LFL, like there's the the UK France rivalry, like that you could even play into that. It'd be like the UK team conquering our enemies across the channel. Um, so I think it would kind of work in that way as well. I don't. What do you know? What like the general feeling is from ERL teams? Because I feel like for certain regions, like if I was in a team in the NFL, I feel like I'd be happy with this. Like if as long as the LFL changes its or like doesn't implement its own rules, which as you say they very well could do. But if I was a team in the LFL where we're already the strongest league, like if players aren't in the LEC, they'd rather be in the LFL than in any other league probably. It just makes it easier to attract players. If I was a team in the NLC, I would be, or like just any of the smaller regions. I feel like I'd not be probably too pleased with this. Like it just makes it harder. I don't only have to compete with NLC teams for players now that might be from my region. I basically got to compete with every team that wants them across Europe. I don't know. Do you know what the
I,
feeling's like?
I, I have I have the feeling that Riot is also doing this because they are leaning towards the end of ERLs to me. I think we are slowly going to an LEC2 or LEC3 even maybe, formats for next year's. I do think that like it's well known that 2027 will be the year of changes for the like esports, like Riot esports stuff. So there might be like huge changes, and I do think this might be one of them. You know, the fact that they will try to open the league maybe, and also that thing where Los Ratones can join for GLC for one split and everything. You know, it's leaning toward that direction that they want to open the league, maybe that they want to repay the slots of GLC. Um, so yeah, I think we are going on that direction, and I think obviously LFL and French fans are completely down to have Los Ratones in the league. You know, it's obviously it will be crazy. It will be a huge, um, a huge, a huge. How you say
Big
it?
draw, like
It will be a huge step to give viewership to the league, because I think the league has been kind of losing some since KC came to LC, because it's just not the main thing to watch anymore. Um, and yeah, it will be a good advertising for the league actually. So obviously they will be down for it. It's also great narratives, great rivalries, right? So obviously they will be down, but yeah, as you said, I think every other region will kind of have a hard time out of that. NLC, for example, will for sure lose a lot
especially
if Los
if Los
Ratones go out
Ratones
of their
leave
league, you
as
know?
well. Yeah, fucking hell.
Yeah, yeah.
They'll be back. It'll be back
NLC
to
is
when I watched it, when there was like 200 viewers each week.
yeah, and
Christ.
the other things is obviously NLC was had a lot of good sides to it because of that. You know, the fact that actually you could stream your scrims, stream your competition, and
I mean,
everything, stream
I
your
think like
POV.
half the NLC teams ended up being streamer teams that like weren't paying the players because they were
Exactly.
encouraging them to stream and that instead to make the income.
So as you said, like I think Los Ratones goes out, the NLC kind of die. You know. So yeah, because they were the one that were bringing in that new dynamic of streamer team, you know. So if they go out, I think it will obviously die, and then I'm not sure where it goes, right? So I do think we're leaning towards the end of ERLs, and I'm just curious about how Riot intend to do it, you know, because it can go very bad, you know. Like the situation could look very bad if they don't do it in the right way. And I'm not fan of Riot decision making the past few years. So yeah,
What do you mean? They always do good changes in the ERLs. They know what they're doing.
yeah, that's true. They have the best
Very.
formats, best changes.
They're the best track record. Yeah,
Yeah,
because to
yeah,
be fair, I mean, like, uh, well, from the whole esports winter thing, like even at tier one, obviously things were getting tighter and tighter, and as you can imagine, tier two was already like not getting as much money and way less sustainable. So you can imagine how difficult it is to run things down there. Like you see, like Superliga
yeah,
LVP is just like going to cease to exist, and Superliga is going to
yeah,
be presumably run by somebody new. And that was apart from LFL, like, or even before LFL, that used to be the bigger of the ERLs. It's since been like maybe like the second biggest one, and they have like recognizable sponsors. That there's like big orgs in there, but still like people aren't making money. And at the end, at some point, you've got to pack things up if you can't actually make it sustainable. So it kind
yeah.
of feels like that is going to be the end result. At least maybe like tier two is one league, and maybe below that you might have amateur leagues that in different regions. But yeah, I feel like in 5 years'
Yeah,
time,
but
it's
you know, amateur league, like semi-pros, you know. I don't want it to be like professionalized too much. Like
that's what I mean. Yeah,
when you go to when you go to LEC, like if we have an LEC2, for example, I would like that the other leagues, the national league stay, but it's like way more of an amateur thing, that it don't that it's not professional, so people know what to expect. You know, you don't come here and say, okay, I will like make my life out of esports and win like huge salaries, while the both the leagues and the the organizers of the league can't, you know, afford it. So like just that they don't have, you know, fake hopes
yeah.
about what could happen, and that they can just, you know, be aware of the situation. So when they go to amateur leagues or to maybe associative leagues, maybe associative teams, then they know what to expect, you know. And like young players, parents that are throwing their children to kind of this this mess that is esports right now, and the ecosystem, they know what to expect. And then if you go to LC2, then you start to professionalize and have, you know, higher ambitions, and you can try to go full time on it. But when you go to a national league, you're just like, you know, um, s-
Should be
it's not that much
the
of a big deal
understanding
like
that you're
LFL
not.
is or
Yeah,
LEC is right now.
Yeah, because even like I don't know, I feel like there's loads of salaries. I assume it's probably gone down now, but at least like a couple of years ago, there would be players in the ERL making like very good money, and
Yeah,
which
exactly.
seemed like kind of mad to be paid like a very good salary, like much higher than average person's salary to be playing video games in the second division of not one of the strongest regions of a video game. Was kind of mad to begin with, to be fair. So it kind of seems inevitable that things are gonna like downsize and basically go back to like the old days where we had the EU challengers thing. At least if
Exactly.
they do that, like we've got to hope there's promo relegation at the very least. But yeah, I mean
Yeah, but
we know that's the
then
whole
it's
thing.
kind of hard because I do think that if you do LEC2, you have to have academy teams from the LEC, right?
Yeah,
So if an LEC, like if an academy of an LEC team is promoted, you have to, what do? You sell the spot. You sell the spot. Yeah, it's kind of still like you have a lot to figure out in
yeah,
order to make it work. But to me, you have to make a big, like how I see it. You have to make a big league with a lot of teams. A big second division league with a lot of teams, and have some academy teams, and the team with the most solid structures in the ERLs that could join, also that part, and that maybe could get promoted if they do well in LEC2, right? Like for example, I think about Galleons. Galleons could be one of these teams because they have high ambitions and they have a lot of budgets. so I do think that could be a good team in that in LEC2. I think that obviously Los Ratones, if they can go from the normal way, like if they can join the LEC the normal way, I think they should have a shot here too. Um, and yeah, there's for sure other teams in ERLs that have good foundations
yeah.
to build on and to kind of join GLC if they just put the budget and put the effort on it.
And it seems
I
like the
think there's
way,
also some Arabian League teams. Actually, I think there's also some Arabian League teams that could be good in that regard.
yeah,
Maybe GK or some stuff.
yeah, and it feels
GCL
like
too.
from like looking at the changes they've done in Valorant as well, they're heading in that direction. Obviously, it's way easier in Valorant because there's not franchise fees and all that. Um, but when they announced the other week that next year they're going to make it so that tier 2 teams could have a chance to get to tier 1 playoffs and then could go to champs as well. Um, there was when I was in Paris, they did like this esports panel with like some of the executive people, and one of the
Yep.
guys there, I forget which guy it was, but he was kept banging on about like one of the reasons they were doing it was for sustainability in tier 2 and having a way of tier 2 teams actually making some money. Um,
Yep.
where I mean, again, it's so much easier for them to do it in Valorant because they basically learnt from the mistakes of League that franchising makes things shit and it makes it impossible to make changes, and it means you're stuck with teams you don't want, and the teams can't get the money back, and blah blah blah. So in Valorant they have this partner thing instead. So the teams are partnered with Riot, but they've never paid a fee. Riot can kick them out whenever they want, which they just did with Movistar Koi. But then also like
Yeah.
the revenue sharing is way better. Like the Valorant is pretty much like the best esport to be in for any esports org, like sustainability wise. And now in tier 2, you've got a chance to like get to playoffs. And if you get to the tier 2, if you get to tier 1 playoffs, then you get like minimum $75,000, which for tier 2 orgs like would be a massive injection as long as they're not overpaying like crazy. So
Yep.
you feel like that's kind of the direction they'd want to go with League as well. But again, it's like just so much more difficult because they're in this situation where you want to get teams into the top league, you've got to. I mean, the only thing you can do is pay the teams back their money to de-franchise. And if you're a team that's paid 20, 30 million, then how much are you going to accept? So,
Yeah. Well, I think they will just get scam and accept it. Like they don't have the choice.
well, yeah, like
Like
in
for
NA,
many of the
they took a big hit. Like, what I think Riot paid them back like 6 million each or something after they'd originally paid like 10
yeah.
to 12. But then again, the thing in LEC is like it doesn't feel like the slots have devalued so much like they have in NA. So if you're a team that's paid
I think
27 million or whatever, like I think Heretics did, why would you accept like even less? Like I don't feel like Riot would want to pay 10 million back to everybody. They're not going to fork out 100 million quid to.
I think you're. I'm not. I won't agree with you when you say the slot have not devalued. I think they
No, no,
did
no. I think
actually
they probably have, but I
because
think not as much as NAs have. I think they're worth more than 6
Not
million.
sure. Probably, but because the prices of the slot were already higher, you know.
Yeah.
But and the thing is also, I think they are trying to devalue the slot themselves, right? That's what they do when with that new rule where an ERL team can join, you know. So yeah, they are just leaning toward that direction and trying to devalue the slot as much as they can. So the org are just forced to accept, you know.
Yeah.
And that's the hard reality. And I think every org will have to accept first because their slot won't have that much value anymore. Second, because I think most of the LEC teams want to go out. To be honest, I think we saw it. Like a lot of teams want to find a way out of this of that. If they can take a bag and go out, they will. You know. So there's that, and there's also the fact that for many of these teams, and I'm thinking more about like for example, KC, MKOI, Team Heretics probably. These teams like all their viewership and all their image as a brand is relying on League of Legends. So you don't have a choice, you know. You can't just say, oh no, we won't take it. Oh no, we if you do that, we're gonna go to the justice or whatever you can do, you know.
Yeah.
Even though I don't think it has any value to go to the justice because Riot is obviously the owner of their own product. But you can't do that because if you enter in a bad state with Riot, they have all the power over you
Yeah.
and they can do everything they want with you, right? So the thing is, as an org, you just can't do that, and you have to accept what we're giving to you, and that's the hard reality. But I think it's how it is, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do think that in the end they will just accept it because they don't have any other way out, you know. So they will accept it and they will take, even though it's not at all as the price they they gave for the slot, they will accept it.
Yeah. And like you say, like, because that was the thing with Los Ratones coming in, it felt like you imagine surely if the teams wanted to look into legal stuff, they'd surely have the upper hand. Like they've got a franchise league that they've got pay their slots in, and Riot's just letting a team in it for free. But again, like it's the thing of that relationship. Think how many LEC teams, for example, are in VCT as well. Like Karmine Corp, Ovistar obviously are out of it now.
Yeah.
Fnatic are a partnered team. D2 aren't partnered, but they're in
If
it.
you lose too much,
Yeah, like they can. You
you
just
lose.
don't. You don't want
There's
that
too much to lose.
relationship to deteriorate when your org is reliant on being in like one or two of their games where they run everything, and
Yep. Yep.
you're you're kind of at the whim of what they want really. And to be fair, I can understand, especially some of the if you're an LEC team that paid in first in 2019, so you're talking like G2, Fnatic, SK, forgetting who else was in it from the start. But the teams that have been in it the whole time that paid the lesser fee, that was like between 8 to 12 million euros. If Riot now did offer them like 6 million, let's say, like similar to what they paid in NA, I could see those teams being happy to take the money.
Yeah, sure.
I feel like I'm sure the teams don't want to be in a franchising anymore. Like I can understand they pretty much every team would probably rather be in an open system where they don't owe all this money still. It's just the ones that have
I
paid
think
like.
that's what you want.
But I just feel like if you're
Like
Heretics
that's
and you dropped 27 million
okay.
like 3-4 years ago, how could you? What amount
Exactly.
would you realistically be okay with taking? I just don't see how Riot
Yeah,
like it's
but that's that. Like I think any team that is not in a franchising in a franchising league don't want of a franchise league, right?
yeah,
But when you are in it, I think you don't want it to stop, you know, because again you lose too much in the end. So if Riot can give a good amount of money to these teams that paid a lot to enter and that made themselves in danger actually to enter for some of them, if they can repay a good price, I do think that it can be worse for a lot of them. Actually, I think like teams like SK, for example, that have been here for a long time, I think they will win in the end
for sure. Because they
if
also
Riot
like,
is
don't really spend much either. I think they're probably like one of the safest, like money wise, probably one
exactly.
of the safest orgs.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see who, because I forget now who was in it from the start. Like who else would probably take that money easily?
G2 was in
Oh,
it.
Vitality.
Fnatic. Vitality, SK.
And then
I think it's the only 4.
yeah, and then
There's
I
only
guess I don't know
these
if
4.
Giant X kind of counts from XL because there was like a merger. They weren't exactly bought, I suppose.
Then Movistar can count too because of Mad Lions. Then
True. Yeah, yeah. Oh no, Mad Lions weren't in it
actually
from the
no,
start. Oh, they were
Mad
no,
Lions
no, no. They were
was Splice.
Splice, which is still the same
Yeah, yeah.
overactive meeting.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see, I guess. Any other stuff? Any other
Yeah.
news you've seen before we wrap up?
Let me think.
Quickly check the
I'm not
timeline in
sure.
case something massive happened in the last hour and 15 minutes we've missed. Probably not.
No. I would just say that I feel kind of bad for Navy that just bought their slots like this summer and might end up like having to, their slot is devalued a lot and they lose a lot of money the
Yeah.
year after. It's kind of hard.
But was theirs
But
one of like a weird merger thing? Like, did they? I couldn't remember if they like paid outright for the slot. I'm not sure. Maybe they did.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if they paid Riot or Rogue, but for sure Rogue got something out of it, right?
Yeah. I just seen as well. Los Ratones did a tweet 26 minutes ago, just saying, "Like, thank you." Oh, shut up. Saying, "Thank you for the support this year. We'll see you at Red Bull League of its own in November." And it says news coming out soon on what's next for 2026. So sounds like they've got a plan. LFL.
I also know that I also know that we will know about the next LEC format quite soon. That's all I can say.
We'll see then. Well, let's leave it there then. And I think the next time we check in for League, it's probably going to be after Worlds. So enjoy Worlds, Ethan, and everybody watching.
Yeah,
And I'll
yeah,
catch
yeah.
you later.
Farewell, everyone.
We'll
Yeah,
catch you when
catch you later. It was
we'll
quite
catch you
nice.
when Gen.G are world champions.
I do have some hopes on anyone's Legends, to be honest. I do have some hopes on anyone Legends. I think they can make it. I think they can be that team, that's ramped up all year long to finally, have their like peak in the biggest moments.
Yeah.
And now that they are in 3-0, they will probably have to take on a team that is 3-2, which should be easier, but actually they might be T1 and BLG, so you never know.
Yeah. Then
But
whatever you think anyway, T1 just wins.
yeah, that's probably that can happen too. Like I do think that if AL draws T1 in quarter, then good luck to them.
Yeah. The plot armor kicks in. So yeah, we'll
Exactly.
leave it there then. Thanks for listening, everybody, and we'll catch you next time.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.